Today we're going to talk about an effect that took over 10 years to create. Welcome to Hidden Treasures. Thank you so much for joining me again on Hidden Treasures, and thank you for all the comments that you guys have been making. Remember, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you're kept up to date with all the new videos that are going on our channel. So the effect I'm going to speak about today is an effect that I first started working on, I would say 20 plus years ago, and it took me over 10 years to create it. So why have I chose this effect? Well, when I first created it and first released it, it sold pretty well. It really did. It sold pretty well, but it didn't make a big splash. And then about 5 years later, I decided to do it on one of the blogs. After I performed it on one of the blogs, it sort of went a bit crazy. People thought it was a new trick. People went wild for it. The actual little video, which I'm going to play you in a moment, sort of went a bit viral on the internet. In fact, I was at a wedding performing one day, and some guy I've never met before, wasn't a magician, just a guest at the wedding, come up and said, "I've seen you on Facebook doing this trick," and it was amazing. It totally blew me away. So there was a lot of people seeing this trick that was outside of the magic realm. So that really did surprise me. And since then, it's been a really good seller. Even though I created this with that one routine in mind, after playing with the gimmicks, I also created a whole host of other routines which are completely different plots, and they work fantastically. So I included all of those on the video as well. Firstly, let me tell you a little bit about the history of this effect. Now, when I started Alakazam Magic, or actually before I started Alakazam Magic, I was buying a lot of magic video cassettes that were coming out at the time. There was no DVD. Videos were quite new in the magic arena, and I loved videos because I loved learning from video. I found myself being able to, before that I was learning from books, which was great, and written instructions, but the media of video, being able to actually sit there and watch a magician do it and watch the moves and see how the moves should look. Because whenever you were reading the instructions, I remember the first time I learned the frustration count. I learned that from, trying to think what the effect was. It was an old packet effect I had purchased, just come with a sheet of black and white photocopied written instructions. And I remember following the instructions and thinking to myself, surely that's not it. Surely that's not the move. And I must have read the instructions 5, 6, 7 times, and I wasn't convinced that that was what was being described. Anyone that knows the frustration count will know what I'm talking about. You sort of do it and you think that can't be it, but when you actually perform the move, it's fantastic. It's a great move. But the beauty of having the visual media and seeing it is instantly you know you are doing it correct, and you know that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So I was very big into videos, and I used to buy all the videos when they came out, and there wasn't that many being released, maybe 12 a year. There wasn't a huge amount, not like today where there's downloads coming out on a daily basis and multiple downloads. And off one of these videos, I remember learning an interchange routine. The plot of an interchange is to show 4 cards, you place them in your pockets, then you take out another 4 cards. So let's say you've got the kings and aces, or the queens and kings, place 4 in your pocket, let's say the 4 kings, and one by one they switch places with the cards in your hands. And I learned a few different versions of this, and the one I used to perform was a great routine by Jerry Sadowitz, who in my opinion is one of the best magicians living today. And I learned a routine of his which was called More Things Change. Now, I performed Jerry's version of it for quite a while, a good couple of years, and I absolutely loved it. But in my mind, I knew I wanted to create a slight almost slightless version. I would like to streamline it because most of the versions out there that I was learning, palming was not an issue for me. Palming didn't bother me, but there was multiple palms. There was palms into your pocket, palms out of your pocket. And there was a lot of moves. And I wondered to myself, could I actually streamline this down? And that process, from that moment of starting to think about it to when it finally came out, was well over 10 years. Now, I'm not talking about constantly working on it for 10 years every day. I'm talking about playing with it, coming up with an idea, getting the prototypes manufactured, playing with it, realizing the prototypes didn't do what I wanted or the routine wasn't right, and then putting it on the shelf for a few months until I found them again. I picked them up again when I was looking for something else, and then I would start working on it again. Once again, I would change the routine, change the gimmicks, get the prototypes back, mess about with it, realize that still wasn't right, put them back on the shelf. 6 months later, look for something else, find these cards again, and the whole process started again. Now, there was one moment, the actual routine as you see it today happened in one day, and I'll tell you about that. But before I do, let's take a look at the routine. And I will say, this was a video that I used on the vlog a few years ago. I'm going to explain why it's different to the original trailer and why I think people went crazy for it. But before we go into it, let me apologize. The music is very loud and it's extremely dramatic. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the routine. A lot of people wonder how card cheats cheat. A lot of people believe that they keep cards up their sleeves. So I'm going to make sure you don't think the cards are up my sleeves by rolling my sleeves up. I'm going to explain to you the exact way a card cheat cheats. Now, they do have extra cards, but what they do is they carry the extra cards in their pocket. So what you need to do is look at these cards down here. We are going to demonstrate this using the 4 aces and the 4 kings. One of the aces, the ace of spades, is going to go into my back pocket, just here. Okay, so the ace of spades in the back pocket. The ace of hearts goes in my front pocket, down here. The ace of hearts in the front pocket. The ace of clubs will go in my back pocket, and the ace of diamonds in my front pocket. That leaves me the 4 kings. Now, if I wanted to switch these kings with the aces, it's quite easy. The first thing I need to do is get rid of the king, and we can get rid of the king like this. Just like that, the king vanishes. But he doesn't vanish, he actually switched places with one of the aces. We click again, we can get all the kings to change places with one of the aces. So if the aces are here, that means king number 1, empty hands, is here, the king of spades. King number 2, empty hands, is here, the king of hearts. King number 3 with empty hands is here, and king number 4 with empty hands is here. So that's the 4 kings and the 4 aces. Watch carefully. All you need to do is think of either kings or aces. Just like that. If you're thinking of kings, the aces will vanish, leaving just the kings. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 kings. Empty hands, reach into my pocket. Over here, we have an ace. Over here, we have an ace. Over here, we have an ace. And over here, we have an ace. And just to show you, there is absolutely nothing else in the pocket. And that is eye change. So that's it. I call that eye change. And if you want to pick one up for yourself, hit that button just above my head and you will be able to grab one. Now, as I was saying, the actual final version I created in a day. And what it was a Saturday. I was in the shop and I was speaking to Chris Harding, actually. Chris was in there. and I was messing about with the idea again. So it was during one of those periods where I found the trick again, started thinking about it. I had made myself these new gimmicks, and they were really rough. They were very thick. It wouldn't have fooled anyone. But they were my prototype, and I had to make the gimmicks to create the routine. So once I had the gimmicks in my hand, I started working on the routine. So Chris Harding come in the shop, and he was the first person to see it. And I remember saying, Chris, you know, can I show you this effect I'm working on? Please don't worry about the gaffs, because I knew Chris would spot them straight away, because he's, you know, he's a clever cookie. I said, but just let me know what you think of the structure of the routine. And I performed the routine on him, and honestly, it just, everything just fell into place. You've got this beautiful routine, especially nowadays where we've had the gaffs specially created by the USPCC, who are the United States playing card company who make bicycle playing cards. The gimmicks themselves are beautiful, but more than that, the routine, I'm so proud of the routine, because every part of the routine is extremely justified. Every part looks super clean. And at the end, the cards you're left with are normal. Absolutely 100% normal. In fact, obviously in the video you've just seen, you don't see, because I was doing it to camera, but usually I place all 8 cards in their hand and get them to cover them. And then whatever ones they're talking about vanish, they appear back in my pocket, and I take them out and deal them back in their hands, and now they've got all 8 cards they can examine. It's such a strong, beautiful structure of routine. And I'm not very much one for praising my own creations, but this to me just fell into place. It just felt right. And I will say, I honestly believe this trick is perfect for that type of routine. And that's a very bold statement. It's not a statement I make very often about my own creations. I let them speak for themselves. But this is one of those ones that I am just extremely proud of. iChange, I used to use as an opener for tables, because the magic sort of happens higher up than down on the table. Also, I used to use it walk around as well, and parlor. So you can do it in almost any situation, and it's a perfect one because it really screams of superior sleight of hand. People think you are doing some crazy stuff, and in reality, there's one move that's covered beautifully. You're so far ahead of everyone. Like I said, I don't like to praise my own stuff, but I do think it's perfect. I think the gaffs I created are perfect for this routine, and the actual structure of the routine, once again, I think is perfect for the gaffs and perfect for this routine. Everything is shown, hands are shown empty all the time. It's just really, really cool. And I remember when it first came out, I was at Magic Live, and I performed it at Magic Live to Jeff McBride. And I remember Jeff coming down and just dragging different people to watch this effect. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started doing it, because it was actually first released at Blackpool, when I first started doing it, the point that I think is the strongest point in the routine, which was when the cards they're thinking of vanish from between their hands, wasn't getting a good reaction. It wasn't getting a bad reaction. In fact, it wasn't getting a reaction, which really confused me, because to me it was so strong. What I realized is I wasn't emphasizing the fact enough that they were holding on to 8 cards. So just by changing the wording and saying, look, I'm going to give you all 8 cards, cover them up, and just name kings or aces. Just by changing that wording and saying, I'm going to give you all 8 cards, made all the difference. And now that part of the routine gets the impact it deserves to get, because it's such an incredible moment. Absolutely incredible. And when they lift their hands, not only have they only got 4 cards, but they are 4 cards that they can look at, they can examine. They are 4 normal cards. And when I reach into my pockets, bring out the other cards, drop that on their hands, they're now left with stuff that they can examine till the cows come home. It's an absolutely brilliant effect, and it's one that I really highly recommend. So when we released it, in the trailer, I was wearing a suit jacket, and I used my outside jacket pockets and my inside pockets. And like I said, when we first released it, the sales were pretty good, but it didn't make the splash I thought it was going to make. And I didn't really understand why, because I thought it was an incredible trick. And then a few years later, I'd done it using the video you've just seen on the blog, the Alakazam blog, and it went crazy. People went crazy for it. We were coming up to Blackpool. I had people ringing me up saying, are you bringing your new release to Blackpool? It had already been out 5 years, but it had got lost. It got lost in the bottom of the site, and people just weren't aware of it. The big difference, I think the reason why people went crazy for it, was because in the video you've just seen, I'm not wearing a jacket. I'm doing it in my jeans pocket. That wasn't something I'd done on purpose. That wasn't planned. It was just that we were filming the blog. I was chatting to, I think Dave was with us on the blog at the time. And I was chatting to Dave and I said, oh, I'm going to do eye change. And then I said, oh, I haven't got my jacket with me. And I said, oh, I'll just do it in my jeans. So, because for me, it wasn't a big issue, but I think it made people realize that you don't have to wear a jacket, because there have been versions of Interchange where you have got to alter your clothing slightly. And I believe that people, when they watched the video, one, thought there was heavy sleight of hand in it, and two, I had to alter the jacket somehow to do the effect. But you don't. You're just using these cards. You can do it in jeans, you can do it in trousers, as long as you have 4 pockets. But I think that was the main turning point in this effect, was the fact that people saw me doing it in just jeans rather than very sort of formal in a jacket. And that's why a lot of the younger magicians were going, well, I can do this when I'm out and about in the street. So that brings me to the end of this week's Hidden Treasures. I hope you like it. I hope you like the effect Interchange. If you love that plot, which I do, you are gonna absolutely love the gimmicks and the routine I put together. And also remember, it's almost sleight free. There's one move in there which is beautifully covered. So anyone, and I will say anyone, can do this routine with just a little tiny bit of practice. Now it comes with the gaff cards, and it comes with a video where I teach you the interchange routine, plus a beautiful transposition effect. I've got a collector's effect on there. So you'll learn a lot more than just that one trick. And remember, if you're interested in picking one up, just hit that little information button up there and that will take you straight to the products on our website. But I thought I'd share this routine with you today because it seems to be having another boost on Facebook, and a lot of people are getting interested in it again. So I thought I'd share it with you because it is one of my favorite creations. And in all honesty, from the moment I decided I wanted to create it to the moment it was actually released was well over 10 years in the making. So guys, let me know if you do any sort of interchange effect or reset effect, and pop it in the comments below. Let me know if you own interchange and where you perform it. Do you perform it close up, parlor, walk around, or even stage? Let me know what the reactions are like to it. And if there's any ideas you have for routines that you believe will be great for Hidden Treasures, once again, pop it down there in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit this subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That will make us all here at Alakazam very, very happy. So until next time, stay safe and have fun.